Right many na ene me pese me ni wodi nkomo. Me a video I responded to the rent commissioner. Any hostel name mentioning. I will say only hostel for the face, which I believe is totally wrong because you are there to ensure say the renting system things are working. And so there are a lot of steps na udu juma na se nipa na ntene ho ase a afi watimi de na famra kwan so na se watimi ne no atwen se de woka no ba rent commissioner ba yi onya education onye niema bia e kire se wona wa dan kra esi nkonwa. It's like man no me nim de manfo kika se oye previously executive member na say BBB of the rent tenant union. Minim say no cry na nya no cry, but the point is ne ye no ya ma yen bebre ya je di say sansem na omo ka no those rumors na ye no correct because what prevents him from sitting down with these landlords and then having a proper conversation with them. Na fe de when you evidence say many landlord for na kasa makwa na ase many hostel for na kasa ma invite omo ya assessment amom say na eso omo do omo dan na je enti free na ekuri hostel bia obebu saa nhihye ne so no ye ne bedi then and preventing from doing that. Muntie me can you because the point is hostel for no up to date are all cano how they should calculate their rent they don't know. You are telling them to come to rent control. What also prevents rent control? To tell Kenny and say oba ye wa kwan way and a faso equity assessment no ema who said the other bo beje because me who say the posture no the way up papa kasa no ne niema bia wo ye no ama nipa dodo na anyini ni say omuba obeye transparent and fair, especially with the rumor around say kika say we no ye former executive of the tenant union no enti obi a oye tenant a wosimimi sisi no obo me kwadu na yi obi a ono no soso no oye member of that union okon ho say ono no mo medi me ne side panintam asem. Does this sound clear? And I believe say rent commissioner no pese otimi ye adwuma yie na rent insensem ne yetimi clear na ye ni yie na niema boa both tenant and landlord there. He shouldn't be biased, but from the word go he has always been biased against landlords. The data mechanics say they are preventing mine from one educating landlord, from one having a stakeholder consultation with them, two understanding what landlords go through, and then tell landlord what the law says the landlord should do. Last one is why are they not being and are he not being transparent with the landlords, with the hostel owners? Or formula na se kwanya rent control faso calculate or recoverable rent assessment. What is the rent control keeping that information for? Say nya dream pony any SCCA rent control commissioner per se name them osisi landlord for they are preventing from coming out here say hostels say na kwan say na mo be faso a mo betimi ahu bua modern hostels ne beje but ni nyina mu no mara ne show say bra na yenye maw na yemmaw recoverable rent assessment certificate actually say what by your ho ama ye ne wa ye recoverable rent ne pepepe. What is preventing them from giving that information out? Is it a secret? What is behind the mindset of keeping how the recoverable rent assessment should be calculated from the landlord? Omangana muntio na mum fan kwa nyinu na mum misa mo. What's me a member ka simi dan no? Me a minim kwan fa so me simi dan no. Me a minim sika me de awura mu no. What's me ntimi mo ade na me dim sika awura mu ni bo. Na mum gisa me de ba rent control na rent control bobo no mami. Nanso no so obobo ne mame no ono so na adwe se kwan obefa so obo ma hu buo no onka nkyere me ne enka nkyere me kyere na mo me ba na ono di ni tirim abobibuo bi ama me enti se osisimi a meda hu se osisimi a meda hu. And so I believe say for the rent control to have landlords getting to their premises to make sure say omo ye recoverable rent assessment say dem run can they should tell landlords how it is done. So landlord ne ba wono be ye ni de ofie na ode abraw na wo so aye into hwe even Ghana Revenue Authority said also do man say company no an institution no an individual na ye tax no no prepare an account or prepare an account or prepare we and see well or the man auditors na auditors so as certify say ye hwem account no said we prepare no bibi bia ye pepepe but still na no the call na so ko tua tax na almost timika say ye ngi de wa ye ni ntima enya no foforo na almost audit account no foforo. Then they realize, okay, this is how much you have to pay as tax. As simple as that. And nipa na onu ye na dwuma na okotua tax no. Any Ghana Revenue Authority for no, they all understand their firm near their benye tax. Adenti na rent control nko entimi ma fiewura nhunu said ye sika kreti bono ede danji. What is there to hide in this? So biasi ni dan no na abonika. Mmarane say your assessment mano na person nipa ne be hu say no see assessment no na osisi nipa na be da hu say osisi no. So in this case no, will the person trust you enough, especially whereby monya rent commissioner or sanye tenant union executive member according to some ayetete na no sir, because of that what taking stingy position against landlords na the oye bia as only landlord won tokwa as a landlord bia di ne yere and as a landlord bia wi na ade and as a landlord bia di ne bone. Right, I don't understand it. Simple matters. The man is making a lot of things difficult, which these things are very easy because every landlord in Ghana here is willing to work with rent control. So far as there is transparency, and what is preventing this man from doing that? Now, TV so Abubo hostel owners say, do you have that power? Show us where in the Ghana laws. I actually said the rent commissioner of the rent control department can tell somebody not to increase their rent without doing an assessment. If the assessment now would make it that order no away. And even this thing is done individually because hostel bianica or body seen dine. And you can't put all hostel in one basket. You have to work with them one after the other. You do an assessment, then you tell the person the assessment shows say this is how much you need to pay. And so this is how you have to pay. Na se nipa no busua e ho no e na oba out be shemu the person ye nyina be support. But without doing the right thing amra na say ye na wo no wo abuse mra no de wutirim e ka chele no say entu ubom. How eti abusia for I believe say ye nyina as Ghanaians we yentra se na ye nwene ho yi na ye ma President John Dramani Mahama Ghana man panyin nti ase say rent commissioner na wa appointing no man ntimi nya adwuma na wode ama no na o create fear and panic o create chaos menim se mampanyin fo ane so se o mahunu na landlord for there because say yakase ye komu a e ya ban ene sanka osisi adan e mani panya ba bi di ni tito time ye start Ghana mamubo nya independence no the state housing agency on tumadie no the state housing corporation on tumadie no and are binding to meet up with these obligations and an individual are supporting. And I don't think say landlords are enemy of government. They are rather partner to the government. And I don't believe say kitashi threats and a debe collaborate with landlord. And she said President Romani Mahama said come video ya. On fret panon and international. Yes, you understand say as I said ye must assessment here aduma as I say ye titi rent boso but before you titi so no as I say rent control so yet no so na said ye say landlord am rent control. You see one thing na me menti ase say emra no waka article no was stated and very clear. Or see the complaint from a landlord or a tenant or any third party who is interested in the accommodation and as the premises and DNA preventing tenants to report the landlord and then assessment is being done. And you say landlord no kwa na chinchina kind as for rent control. And I'm telling you on authority say the reason why most landlords are not going to the rent control department is because they feel like the rent control is not a trustworthy organization. They can't trust the rent control. So kind of correct. They only go there when they are forced to. and then they have no alternative. And omoko say if there's an alternative, for instance, they say there were 1986 rent law no e kasafa the rent and housing committee no sanke the rent and housing committee or municipal assembly bia. I don't think people will even go to rent control, because the rent control opposition over the years as an organization you can't trust, and so people go there because they have no choice, and so that is the only place they have to go. And then over the years are irrelevant. You bring in somebody or no so about sad in the cry. Now one landlord files me a position that the rent control is against landlords. As simple as that. And I believe that it shouldn't be so, and this thing can be rectified as soon as possible. Intimate John Dramani Mahama, president, your man Penin, say, Utie me, and I so be say a video yabonamania mamia. Unfair rent commissioner, no. What man you must own the name Madimana Ondino. Why a bad time? You say, Akuko Tiaman on Kumba. So you cannot stand against one and then be for one. And ya Jumasa. And you, President Romani Mama, and to me, appointed a tenant to come and litigate issue between a tenant and a landlord. And ya Juma. Now I believe, say, from what I'm hearing, no, rent commissioner is acting as a tenant and not a neutral person. And so he's unfit for that position. You cannot create national Ghana for. Yeah, kind of cry now. Yeah, for BBNC because the man is overdoing. Yeah, said the one man myself. Yeah, what they are doing, time and now oh yeah, the one kasa pay. It doesn't make sense. And then oh yeah, no snow. Oh, say I am man. Oh yeah, which law? Quote it. So but now, quote to man na beam. Na screen now. It's no move on to so. Na yin na yin can be. Never said you can't film anymore. Most of the things you say are outside of the law. It's either you are misinterpreting or misreading the laws to Ghanaians. And you're gonna find an impact in Kanyo. The letter be more kind. So don't think that Ubetimia I'm Ghana for, especially landlords. Timestre, Uncle Nombre Biemu, Mino, Uncle na Ombre Biem. Because what he's doing is unlawful. What he's doing doesn't befit a leader who is there to be neutral and mitigate between two parties. Master, with this man in the rent control department, I don't think say any landlord will get truly and fair justice. As a President Sisano, as a President John Dramani Mahama, a man penny and Mofedia, as a South rent commissioner. No, my video. Even tenants, no, so when say or boy or more, anchor, they will know the results by now. Or by how many months? What tangible results and waiting their tenant for? All he has done is PR. Wakasa social media no work, no nothing to show. Now no hostel abebo mudin. And no the koya adwuma. Student union for and the list abreno. Na ya hye ne se bekeka. And obetena TV so no waka. Onfa hostel for ne court. Anke the list ne bre na ya push it to the rent magistrate. Na ya summon these hostels. Na ya court. Na afedi ya jealous hostel for no and as ya find wo na yenya ruling atos na oh hostel no wayem fon so e court no court di tia no. But no, this man said debi me court a me nya hwe. And so my TV so na me kan tenant in fo say me ye adwuma. And so tenant no oyem krokro the twon fa fooling kwa na oyem me kan kra kire mo. This man is for fooling you guys. Because most of the things na oyem no say unya lawyer ni papa na we landlord. There is no way this man can put you down. And yes say me no, I'm telling landlords challenge the law so because the rent control department should be challenged to produce how they do the assessment. And to a landlord na say rent control for the Ukojina court say what you aboard there no assessment no from challenge them, tell the court say you want to know the process in which they use in determining the recoverable rent assessment. Now me sure say follow me because I'm going to do a video and tell you all the things you need to put down as landlord. A court assessment, you can even do that assessment in the house. A court there's no way assessment, rent control with me say was that because you follow the right, you follow the law. And I'm gonna show you something. I bet because rent control is on farmer. So on farmer, all landlord reason, look into the law and then come out with a fair pricing mechanism. Said the beya say rent control HCCwa ubegunu because papa na I been say would moja no sika si dan pa bo mo ate some passport de enya adwuma da na ono be ya adwuma matimamuni Not Mamunina or no see dine down to blocks no or no mama but 2 breaths on fast. But I'm not gonna sit here and help that injustice. Dime poor adding because that never is dime support a cost. Dime poor adding because Nippon or didn't need that indication a investment. Opianwa or bet na we asim waka say medium this misike ko shade game na de na me di misike ko chem no me expect say meboka obiani ho ensi da nti abusafo ma me fa mu nsi ha na enne ye be ginam 1 o'clock live ye di nkomo afa ye rent ho but dwane me na ye ntwetwe nkomo no na ye nko akiri follow me say de be ya me di another video ba also benya bi na wahwe me da se